Things are changing at a faster pace than they ever have in our history, and they'll never change this slowly again. What's changing and what isn't changing, and how we find our clients, and how our clients find us. To explore some of these changes, we have with us the president of Attorneys Inc., also here in Chicago, Gyi Tsakalakis.
All right, any French speakers out there? Couple? Okay, so I apologize to you in advance when I butcher this. Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. The more the thing changes, the more it stays the same. And I think that I'm here to convince you a little bit, at least, that the practice of law is very similar, and this phrase fits it quite nicely. So when I was a young lawyer, I was asked, hey, can you go out there and find out what we should be doing on the internet for client development and marketing? This is back in 2005. So I went out, I did a bunch of research, I talked to a bunch of lawyers, mentors, all sorts of people. I came back to the firm, and I presented all this great information, and this is what I was told. Most people won't use the internet to hire a lawyer. Well, I'm glad you're laughing, because I still have conversations with lawyers that say things like, my clients don't use the internet to find lawyers like me. And I'm sympathetic to that. But the thing that's really starting to change is the how that our clients and our colleagues are actually communicating, and we're going to dive into that. So the good news is that by 2017, I'm at another conference with a bunch of lawyers, so about 12 years later, and everybody's freaked out. LegalZoom is eating our lunch. And so over that time frame, we at least went from this idea that people aren't actually going to use the internet to find and hire us to some technology company outside of legal is now taking all of our clients. And so at least we're thinking about this problem. And so I want to get you thinking about some of the tactical ways that you can start implementing some of these technologies at your firm to start engaging with your target audience and with referral sources and all that kind of stuff. So really this talk, at the end of the day, is a talk about how to survive the future. Because our clients and legal services consumers, they're not going to wait around for us to engage technology. Technology is essential to providing remarkable client service. Technology is essential to professionalism. So what's the same? So a lot of this is going to be really obvious, hopefully. But there's Clio's a practice management software. Every year they put out a legal trends report. Basically, they survey people and give insights on what they see in the trends in terms of both their users and legal services consumers. So I recommend you check that out. This is from the 2017 one, so it's not the most updated one, but a little critique of Clio. They didn't do as much marketing stuff in this last one, so they should do that. This is what came out of that. 62% of people, respondents, get a referral from a friend or family member. Like, that's the same as it's always been, right? We know that our practices are built on strong relationships and reputation for professionalism, for skill, for knowledge, for experience. And so people are still reaching out to find lawyers that way. 31% get a referral from another lawyer, right? So we know that. Building referral relationships with other lawyers is also a very valuable way to do client development. But what's changed, right? So it's the way that these conversations are happening. So the biggest change, really, at the end of the day, is these amazing supercomputers in our pockets. So we have access to the world's information. We have access to a global network of people and sites and ideas. And if you haven't seen the Remove.social, I threw it in here. Check it out. But in some ways, they've become so all-encompassing. That's a talk for another day. The point being, though, is that this is where our audience is. This is where our referral connections are. This is where our clients are. This is where our next clients are. And so when I bring this up a lot of times, people are like, this is craziness. People are online asking for lawyer recommendations on Facebook? Yes. Every single day, almost every single minute of the day, you can sit with your phone right now and pull up your Facebook app if you have it, or whatever social media or what you prefer, and you will see people asking for recommendations for lawyers publicly, in groups, privately, through chat messages. We see it every single day. So this is where people are having these conversations about recommendations for a lawyer. And it's not just John Q. Public Legal Consumer. It's lawyers asking for referrals from lawyers. So this is from a private lawyer networking group on Facebook. These are where these conversations are happening. And so the question then becomes, we know that this is where our audience is. how do we engage them, and how do we do this in a way that is not consuming every minute of our day, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, and then the other thing that I always say is, no matter who your audience is, who your potential clients are, no matter how they get your name, they're going to go and look you up online, and they're going to expect to see things. They're going to want to know how you treat former clients through reviews and testimonials. They're going to want to know if you're taking leadership positions in organizations, in advocacy groups. They're going to want to know if they've had mutual connections with you on sites like LinkedIn and Facebook. And so regardless of who your audience are, I implore you to go out there and make sure you're engaging in the conversation with them, and let's talk about how to do that. Okay, so I want to make sure that we get a lot of tactical information here. Again, it's just to get you started. I have 9 minutes and 40 seconds left. I can't tell you everything you need to know, but I can tell you this. It's a lot easier than law school. And so the big thing that I want you to come away with from all of this is that it's not the internet or traditional notions of client development, right? I think too many of the internet marketing people try to sell us on like email newsletters and follower counts and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, this gets back to the French saying that I'm not going to try to butcher again. It's relationships and reputation and authenticity, just as it has always been, but now we need to add technology. We need to find ways to add automation and to add personalization to our engaging audience with the use of technology. So this didn't come out as well as I wanted it to on this. I'll do another picture of it, but this is my emoji version of this. Essentially, again, reputation, relationships, technology, that's how we're going to survive the future as a practice. So what do we mean by automation? Technology by which a procedure is performed with minimal human assistance. So I was listening to the Google Ads keynote thing the other day. They do, and I suggest you check it out if you're doing any advertising online, but I'll paraphrase for you. What they're talking about is machine-generated but human-approved, right? It's not set it and forget it like Ron Popeil. There needs to be some human assistance. We want to own what we're doing online. We want to make sure that we control the approval process. But technology can help to do a lot of the rote production work of actually this engagement. And so there's really three big pieces to this. The client experience automation process includes the content that we publish, the consumer's journey, right? So our client's journey. How are they asking questions? What are the issues they're trying to solve? A lot of them don't even know they need lawyers yet. So we've got to understand that journey. And finally, timing, right? So delivering messages at the right time in the right place is so key to engaging this audience properly. So I'm just going to give you some basic examples. So this is MailChimp, right? MailChimp has an automated email feature that you can send a recurring birthday email out. Now, some of you might think, well, that seems kind of impersonal. And for some of your relationships, it probably is too impersonal. But there's a lot of people, whether they're former clients that you haven't been keeping in touch with regularly, or people that are more acquaintances, that you can put on an automated email list to stay top of mind, to nurture that relationship in an authentic and professional way. Again, we're not talking about sending free consultation messages through email. We're talking about wishing people a happy birthday, and you'd be amazed at how effective that is to re-engage people to generate more referrals. And it's not just birthdays. You can automate specific dates with MailChimp. There's all sorts of things you might do. You might do an anniversary if you know that, or something that had to do with your relationship professionally. All of those types of things can be put in an automated email, not a selling message, but a demonstrating that, hey, I actually care about you, I'm touching base with you in a seamless, authentic way. Birthday Buddy is a tool that you can use to actually send automated birthday messages on Facebook if that's where you want to spend your time. And then if you don't like email, you can automate sending physical postcards, right? So you can craft a variety of messages that are authentic, that demonstrate your knowledge, that are reputationally enhancing, and you can automate it and have a physical postcard go, and that way you don't need to go and buy postcards and spend your whole day writing postcards. Now, there are people in your network that you probably should do handwritten postcards for, but there are many that I encourage you to consider putting on a more automated system. Postmate is another system that does that, so I want to give you a couple options there. This is a tool called Lawmatics, which I disclosed that I'm an advisor to, but the idea here is that your CRM, your client reputation management tool, plays a big role in being able to automate some of these processes. So things like you can load up automation workflows that trigger things like after someone signs a document, they can, number one, they can do it through sign electronically, and then it can fire off a text message. Again, these are the types of things that you're gonna have to follow all of the rules and the proper approach to doing this so that you've got opt-in, you've got their permission. But I'm gonna tell you, your clients are going to thank you for it. They don't want to drive in to come and sign paperwork. They don't want to come in for every conversation that you have to have. They like the touch points. They expect to be able to communicate with you in a variety of ways. Embrace that technology. That's the way to stand out and provide remarkable client service in a professional way. Google My Business. If you do nothing else online, if you don't care about the internet, you think I'm full of it, go think about using Google My Business. Most people are going to look you up at some point through Google, regardless how they get your name, and Google My Business at least is the single point of defense to control what they see when they do that search for you. So you can also automate answering questions on Google My Business. So a lot of people, you get the same questions over and over again about whether it's driving directions or the types of work that you do. You can feed those questions into Google My Business, and those will automatically be answered for people that search on your name. That's an example of that on Google My Business. GMB is the short version of that. You can automate responses to Facebook Messenger. So if you have a Facebook business page or if you're on Facebook, again, if you don't use Facebook, you don't care about Facebook, that's fine. But keep in mind, if your clients are going to look for information to research hiring lawyers like you on Facebook, you might consider being there. You can automate responses. Again, Facebook, like Google My Business, publishes your response time. So think about it from the client's perspective. What does it say to your client if they come and they see that you've got this Facebook page and Facebook publishes that you usually don't respond to people there? You know, again, it's that empathizing with your client, improving that client experience through automations and through technology. This is just an example of Google My Business. You can do the same thing. The other thing that you can do is you can have clients automatically book appointments with you through Google My Business. So they search your name, they see some positive client sentiment there, they're persuaded to give you to book an appointment, they click on the book an appointment app, maybe you're using Calendly or some kind of other appointment setting app, so you're not going back and forth trying to email availability, automated booking appointment, they like it, it's gonna be more efficient for you, it's gonna take a lot less of your time so you can spend your time doing the things that matter for your practice, practicing law and billing. Here's an idea. What if you connected your appointment setting system with something like Lyft? So when someone schedules an appointment, you can give your client an option, automatically give them an option to come to send a Lyft to pick them up to bring them to the office. That's the kind of thing that helps you stand out from your competitors, that they're not doing that. It's gonna give them a remarkable client experience, and that's gonna encourage them to be like, wow, that was really different. Sing your praises, talk about that. That's something we haven't seen before. GatherUp is another great tool for kind of automating that client feedback experience. Listen to what your clients are saying. So many of us don't have systems in place that automate that client feedback loop, so we don't even know when we're not providing the service that we want. We think we're providing great service, but we're not. Again, to be able to interview every single one of your clients on a regular basis is inconvenient for them, it's inconvenient for you. Find ways to automate that with technology. And finally, this is CallRail, which is a keyword call tracking system. And so automate your attribution. So many lawyers tell me all the time, I don't know if any of this stuff is working. And the answer is attribution. You have to be able to identify and understand how people are finding you, which marketing and time and money investments are actually working. Tools like CallRail can automate that. It's not good enough anymore to say, how did you find us, right? Most people, if you get a phone call and you ask, how did you find us, and it was the internet, they say the internet. Well, was it Google? Was it Facebook? Was it search? Was it paid search ad? We don't know those answers without something that automates that attribution process. That's the only way we're gonna be able to effectively measure the time and money that we spend on client development. And finally, this quote from Asta Madan, who was a guest on our clienting podcast, I thought was really appropriate for this. Our value lies in our knowledge and our ability to empathize and our innate ability to adapt as humans. If you're worried about the machines taking your job, focus on this stuff. Use them, leverage the machines to automate the rote production work. Focus your time on the service, on empathy, and adapting, and that's the way that you're gonna survive the future. Thank you.